All right, good morning. My name is Mickey. This is Harvest Moon Farm. Welcome back. And today is day 3 of the June pantry challenge, although I'm really doing more of a freezer challenge. So for dinner tonight, we are going to grill some hamburgers, which will take some ground beef out of our freezer. And along with that, I'm going to make some baked beans and some pasta salad. So the pasta salad, I have some fresh veggies, and then I also have some peppers that I have chopped, some bell peppers in my freezer that I had previously chopped up, and some of those are going to go in this as well. So that will take care of another item in the freezer, although we're not going to use all of it, but it will take care of some of it. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and get some water boiling for our pasta. And I have half a box here of this garden rotini. I like to use this for my pasta salad. And it's just going to be me and Joe, so a half a box is plenty. This wishbone Italian, this is the dressing that I like to use. I don't know if I need this whole container since I'm only making a half of a box of pasta, but I like everything to be cold. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this in the refrigerator so that when I mix it in with everything else, it will be cold as well. Maybe, if I can find a place. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and cut up all my veggies that still need to be cut up. So I've got some broccoli left over from last night's dinner that I specifically saved out. I've got some cauliflower. I'm going to use some of that for the pasta salad, and then some of it I'm just going to put back in the fridge for us to eat either fresh or roasted or whatever. And then I've got some onion, and then I'm going to go downstairs and get my peppers. So first I'm going to go ahead and cut my broccoli, and I like these cut pretty small just so that it's easier to eat with your pasta. So I'm going to take most of that stem off. So they're kind of like that. Are you hungry? So I just realized I fed everybody this morning except poor Bear. So I'm going to feed him and I'll be right back. Okay, so I got the dog all fed. Of course now he's ignoring his food and he wants to go back outside. Alright, so let's keep working on this broccoli. And broccoli salad, if you've never made it, it's one of those things that you really could just, it's hard to go wrong. You put in whatever veggies you like, whatever dressing you like, whatever cheese you like, and stir it all up with your pasta, and there you go. I like broccoli and cauliflower and peppers in mine. Oh, I just realized all the tomatoes I have, darn, I like tomatoes in mine too, but all the tomatoes that I have are the tasteless ones that I bought at the store. I might have to get some more cherry tomatoes later, because if I'm gonna make this, I want it to taste good. So I just threw cauliflower everywhere. And then I'm just going to do the same thing with my cauliflower. Cut it up in small pieces. For the salad, and then the rest of it I'll just cut in larger pieces and put in its own baggie so that we can either eat it fresh or I can roast it to have as a side with a different dish. And I'm not used to making this pasta salad in a small portion. I'm used to making it for a family get together, and all of the kids love pasta salad and will fight over it. So I'm trying to make sure that I pare down what I'm making, because I like it too, but I don't want to eat it for, you know, a week and a half. So all right, I think that's probably enough. I'm going to put the rest of this in another baggie, and our pasta water's boiling, so I'm going to go ahead and throw this in there. So I put the pasta in and added a little salt to the water. I'm gonna stick this in the fridge. Okay. So the stems and leaves and stuff from the broccoli and cauliflower I'm going to give to the chickens. Let's see. I don't want a ton of onion, just enough to give it some nice flavor. Alrighty. So I'm just going to kind of mince this up. Okay. Put that in. Alright, stick this piece back in the fridge, and I'm going to go down and get some of the peppers. Alright, while I was downstairs I also got the ground beef. Let that start thawing. I'm just going to put some of these peppers in a bowl to thaw before I add them to the rest of the veggies. Let's see. That's probably enough. Oh gosh, they smell so good. I'll put this back in the freezer. Okay, so I put everything in the fridge. I just laid a piece of paper towel over that bowl of peppers, stuck it in the fridge. The pasta's done. I've drained it, run some cold water on it. I've got it in this baggie. I'm gonna stick it in the refrigerator. And then when it's time to make dinner, I'll just put everything together. I'll cut up some cheese chunks before. I'm not sure what kind of cheese I'm going to use. I'll cut up some cheese and throw in there, add the cold dressing, stir it all up, and then we will have that with our dinner. Alright, so Joe and I have been working outside all day on the shelter for our new goats that we're getting, and now we're all sunburned and hot and tired, so it is time to start dinner. So I got my noodles, and put my veggies in here. I never made it out to buy any, oh, they're still frozen. I never made it out to buy any tomatoes, but that's okay. I think the peppers will kind of give us enough of that fresh summer flavor that we'll be okay without them. And we don't have any, so it'll work whether we want it to or not. Okay, so for my cheese, I'm going to, if I can get a hold of this. Normally I put little hunks of cheddar in it, but I think all my cheddar is shredded. So I have one of these balls of mozzarella. Whoops. So I'm just going to cut a hunk of that and cut that up and add to our pasta salad. Maybe a little more. All right, so I'm going to put this in a baggie and we'll put it back in the refrigerator. Shake this. I'm going to pour a little bit of this dressing out so that I've got some room to shake it up a little. There we go. We're going to stir that up. About making this yourself is that, like I said earlier, you can put whatever you want to put in it. I know a lot of people put olives in it. I do not like olives, so I don't put olives in anything. My husband likes olives, but if he wants olives, he'll have to get them himself because they are disgusting to me. So they're not going in my pasta salad for sure. You can also make this pasta salad more of a meal salad. You can add little like summer sausage hunks. You can add little pieces of salami, pepperoni, and that would give it a little more protein and you could eat it more like a meal if you wanted. We typically just have it as a side. All right. Ooh, that looks yummy. I'm gonna taste the noodle. Okay. So here's our pasta salad, and I am going to put a plastic cover on this. I'm going to stick it back in the fridge, and then I'm going to take a shower, and then after I get done in the shower, then I will just make up a simple can of baked beans. I'm just using, just a can of pork and beans, and I'll just add some seasonings to that and make our hamburgers, and then we will eat. So for day 3 of the challenge, I got peppers out of my freezer, and I got a package of ground beef out of my freezer. So far so good. So tomorrow we are having some chicken's in the freezer, and I think something that goes with it, I can't remember exactly what I'm making. I think something else is also currently in my freezer. So we are going to take showers, cool off a little bit, and then I'll finish up with dinner and we'll eat that. And I'll be back tomorrow to show you what our day 4 freezer use is. All right, so today is day 5 of my June pantry / freezer challenge. The chicken dish that we're going to make tonight, I had planned to make last night. We worked outside all day and I was exhausted, so I just pulled some things already made out of the freezer. We had some leftover flautas, and then we had some of our apple hand pies for dessert. and we made some rice. So that took some things out of the freezer. So tonight we're gonna make an easy bourbon chicken. I'm gonna serve this with just some plain white rice. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that started first. So I've got my rice cooker here. Whoops. I'm gonna add a cup of rice. And about 1.5 cups of water. Okay, here's our water. So then I'm just gonna put the lid on this. We're gonna push it to cook, and then I'm just gonna slide it out of my way. All right, so now we are going to start prepping our chicken. So what we want to do is cut our thawed chicken into some 1-inch pieces. Then I'm just going to put them in this bowl. So the recipe is for 3 pieces, or I'm sorry, the recipe is for 6 pieces of chicken. I have 3, so I will probably have all of the remaining ingredients so that I don't have a bunch of extra something. Let me see. So we're just cutting our chicken into bite-sized pieces like that. And I just had a sneezing fit, so that's why I'm sniffling over here. There's one. Here's the third piece. And my husband's running late today. I don't know if they're trying to catch up from something last week when it was raining, or it is supposed to rain off and on throughout this week, so maybe they're trying to get ahead. Either way, he's a little bit later than normal. So we want to add 2 tablespoons of cornstarch to our chicken and just toss it all together. I'm just going to kind of stir the chicken around in this cornstarch. So we're just coating this cornstarch so that when we fry it up, it's going to get a nice brown coating on it. I'm trying to make sure that all the pieces get separated so that they all get coated. All right, so I think that's pretty good. All right, so now we're going to move to the stovetop. The instructions say use canola oil, but I'm going to use olive oil. We want to heat our pan up. And once this oil gets hot, we're going to put about half of our chicken in there and cook it up. And then we'll put the other half in. And then we're going to add some garlic to what's left in our pan. All right, so I think that's hot. We just want to add half of our chicken. Oh, I guess it wasn't hot. Kind of hot, it's just not really as hot probably as it should have been. That's okay. Alright. Let that cook a few more minutes. Alright, so I was using some tongs to add a little more oil here to turn my chicken over. Turn the heat down a little bit so they don't burn. We can brown these up on the other side. So my stepdad, bless his heart, always called these thongs, and so now we always laugh, and sometimes we'll call them thongs just to be silly. Alright, so these pieces we're going to put on a plate. We're going to add some more oil, and we're going to cook up the other half of this batch of chicken. Out. And now we're going to mince in 2 cloves of garlic, and we're just going to stir it around for just 20 or 30 seconds until we can smell the garlic, which I can. Okay, now, the next thing we're supposed to add is a cup of water and half a cup of apple juice. I do not have any apple juice, and I don't have anything that would even approximate apple juice, so I'm just using 1.5 cups of water. Then we want 1/4 cup of bourbon, a 1/2 cup of chicken broth, two-thirds cup of low sodium soy sauce, a 1/3 cup of ketchup, which is about what I have left in this container. So I'm just going to put it all in there. Okay. Let's see. 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, 1 cup of packed brown sugar. This is a 1/2 cup measure, so I'm going to use 2. There's 1. And 2. And then we need a 1/2 teaspoon of crushed red pepper, a 1/2 teaspoon of ginger, ground powdered ginger, and then a 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder. I either don't have any onion powder left or I cannot find it. So I'm going to do just a little bit of onion salt because onion salt and onion powder are not the same thing, and I don't want it to be too salty. Alright, so I'm just going to stir this around. And then I just realized that I did not half the recipe, so I'm going to have the full sauce recipe for half the chicken, but that's okay. So I'm going to turn this back up. We want to bring this to a boil, and then we're going to add our chicken back in and let it cook. All right, our sauce is boiling. So I'm going to go ahead and add my chicken into this sauce, hopefully without splashing it on me. Oh, it smells really good. All right, so we're going to put this in here, and then we just want to let this cook for about 10 or 15 minutes, and the sauce is going to reduce by about half. And then when it gets to that point, so I'm going to put another tablespoon of cornstarch in this bowl. I'm going to add some water and just whisk it all together. And then when our sauce has reduced, then we're going to go ahead and add this slurry of cornstarch and water and let it finish thickening up. And the rice just finished cooking, so I went ahead and unplugged it because otherwise it'll keep cooking and then it'll burn and stick to the bottom of the pan. Whew. Frying this up made a mess. And I picked a bunch of basil and cilantro, and I have a ton out there, so I'm not going to get it all used before this goes bad. So I'm going to give this a little wash, and then I'm going to put it on my freeze dryer trays and we're going to freeze dry it. That smells so good. So let's do our cilantro. And I was out watering my green stalks earlier, and I have one of my cherry tomato plants has a little bunch of like 4 little cherry tomatoes on it. They're still green. They're there. I'm super excited. And my nasturtiums that I planted in the other pits are also coming up. So let's just kind of dry this a little bit. And then I'm just going to spread it out on my trays. I have cilantro and basil in about 3 or 4 different places in my garden. So I should have plenty this year for eating some fresh and for freeze drying or air drying or whatever I want to do with it. All right. So I'm going to take all these trays downstairs. I have to turn the freeze dryer on and let it cool before I put these in, but I probably could put more than what I've got on these trays, but it'll be fine. So I'm going to take this down and get these started. So I'm going to set a timer on my phone because if I don't, I'll forget to go down and put that in there. Boiling pretty good, but there's still quite a lot of sauce in there. So I added just a little bit of water to this tablespoon of cornstarch, and I'm just whisking it together. So when it's time to add it into this dish, it will be ready. I'm going to turn this down a little bit though. Oh. And we do have some leftover pasta salad that we can eat with this if we want. We have some salad greens. We have some peppers. We have all kinds of things that we could add to this to just round out our meal. All right, so the timer went off for the freeze dryer, so I just loaded those trays. And this has reduced now about half. So we'll give this another whisk. And then we're just going to pour this into our sauce and stir it in, and then we're just going to, whoa, dripping. And then we're just going to let this cook for another minute or so now until that sauce thickens up, and it should not take a long time. So it has gotten much thicker just in that time it took me to put those few dishes in the dishwasher. All right. So Joe is still not home. It looks like he's still quite a ways away. So I'm going to go ahead and eat, and then he can eat when he gets home. He can just warm if everything is cooled off by the time he gets home. Ouchie. All right, so I'm going to put a spoon of rice, spoon and a half of rice, in my bowl, and I'm going to top it with some of that chicken. And while that was cooking, I decided, what did I drop here? I decided a little bit of green onion would be good on the top and pretty. So I used the white and some of the green. So here's what this looks like. So we are going to give this a try. Ow, it's very hot. So I'm just going to cut a little bite of chicken here. Maybe. There we go. Ooh. I don't know if you guys can see that steam, but it is hot. All right, let's try that again. That piece was too hot to eat. That is amazing. So, even though I didn't have the apple juice and I had to use a little bit of garlic salt instead of garlic powder, it's not too salty. It tastes delicious. It tastes really delicious. And I think this would be a dish just like any stir fry. You could add broccoli or peppers or zucchini or anything really that you wanted to this to just add more vegetables to the meal. I'm gonna eat mine just like this, and then we'll be back tomorrow for day 6.
So it's the next morning, and I took my basil and cilantro out of the freeze dryer. It's completely dry, and so now I'm just putting it in jars so that I can use it. So I'm adding the cilantro to the little bit that I had left in that jar there, and it seemed like I wasn't going to need, like it wasn't going to fill that jar up, but it does fill it up, and it smells so good. It smells just like fresh. It smells just like fresh cilantro. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish filling that jar. And I went and got a spatula so I could get the rest of that off there. It was stuck just a little bit. And one great thing about these Harvest Right drying trays is that they can go in your dishwasher. I was afraid to put them in there. I didn't want to ruin them, so I looked it up, and it does say they can go in the dishwasher, which makes for really easy cleaning, although when you wash them by hand, it's really simple too. So I'm going to put the lid back on this cilantro, and then I'm going to put the basil in this smaller jar, and then that smells really good too. And then I will have both of these items from my own garden to use for whatever I want. So the cilantro obviously goes in a lot of Mexican dishes or other ethnic dishes, and then the basil goes in pretty much anything. So I'm going to get the last of the crumbs there and then set my trays aside, and I've got a lid, I think. Yeah, I'm finding a lid for that jar. And there we go. There's the first harvest from my garden, all preserved up and ready to go.
All right, today is day 6. Yes, day 6 of the June Freezer Pantry Challenge. And tonight I'm going to make a shrimp and crab meat casserole. So first thing we're going to do is get the oven preheating to 350. This recipe calls for mushrooms, which I don't like, so I'm not putting them in there. It also calls for lobster, which I didn't see when I first pulled this recipe out, and I don't have lobster, so we're just going to have shrimp and crab. Alright, so I need a casserole dish. Alright, so we need a 1.5 quart casserole dish, which I'm pretty sure that's what this is, hopefully. So I did pull the cilantro and basil out of the freeze dryer this morning. And I've got it, I added the cilantro to the jar that I already had, and then I put the basil in its own little jar with a lid. Alright, so this shrimp is pre-cooked. I just pulled it out of the freezer. So, let's see here. So we needed 12 to 16 ounces of shrimp, which is about what this is. So I'm going to use some butter to grease my casserole dish. What I'm going to do is take my shrimp and cut it in small pieces. And we're going to put it in our casserole dish. I'm really excited for this. I've seen this several times and I had not ever made it. And when I was trying to come up with things to make from my freezer, I came across this again and decided that we were going to do it. So I hope it turns out, I hope it tastes as good as the way it looks like it will taste in the picture. Alright, so there's all of our shrimp. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut up our crab meat. And we only needed 4 ounces of crab, but since we don't have the lobster, what I have here is 16 ounces, so let me see. Okay, so that will work, but I'm going to go ahead and cut this up into smaller pieces. So what I bought was just the crab, oh, what am I trying to say? The flake style. So now we're going to make our sauce that goes over this. Alright, so in our sauce, we need the rest of our butter. We're going to let it melt, and then we're going to stir in a 1/4 cup of flour. Alright, so let's go ahead and start putting our flour in here. We're going to cook and stir this for about 2 minutes. So we let our flour cook. Make sure that there's no raw flour left in there. We're also going to add to this in a little bit. We are going to add some chives and some parsley that have been finely chopped. I'm just going to put them both here on my cutting board together, and then I'll just kind of chop them up together. The parsley is pretty small. The chives need to be chopped a little more. All right, so now we're going to add 2 cups of milk to this butter and flour mixture. We're going to add it gradually and just whisk it in as we go. Oh, and I'm doing a fantastic job splashing milk everywhere here. Alright, so we want to keep stirring this and cooking until this gets bubbly and nice and thick. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of chop these up a little bit more. Hopefully they don't all run away from me. Our sauce is getting close to, or our milk and flour and butter is getting close to starting to bubble. Alright, I am going to turn this off and we're going to add the rest of our ingredients. So I'm just going to do a little bit of salt. We're going to add just a little bit of pepper. And we're going to add our chives and parsley. We want just a little bit of paprika, about 1/4 teaspoon. And then we're going to add some white wine. Alright, so we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of white wine. Maybe a little more. Alright, and then I'm going to stir all of this together. Oh my gosh, this looks so good. Now, the recipe does not call for this, but I am going to add some Parmesan cheese into my sauce. The recipe actually just calls for putting it on top, but I'm going to add some in my sauce as well. So that's maybe, maybe a 1/2 cup or so. So I'm going to stir this in until it's melted. Oh my gosh, this looks amazing. And before I put it on my fish, I'm going to go ahead and give it a little taste. Alright, needs more salt. And a little more pepper. And we're going to stir this up again. Alright, so I've got a clean spoon here. I'm going to give it another taste. Yes, that's much better. Okay, so now all we're going to do is take our sauce. The top of my head is cut off a little bit here, but we're going to take our sauce, pour it over our shrimp and crab. And we're just going to very gently stir this into our seafood. I'm gonna smooth out that top layer. And then I'm gonna add some more Parmesan to the top. Like that. And then we're gonna put it in our 350-degree oven for 20 minutes. And I just remembered I was also gonna do some biscuits, but I've already got that in the oven, so we'll do the biscuits another day. So I forgot, one of the other things that I used out of my freezer today was I made my husband more of those ham or turkey, egg and cheese, like little muffin things where the meat kind of forms the muffin cup. And I was able to use most of the eggs that I had frozen that I didn't use during the holidays, so that worked out well. Oh goodness. This looks really, really good. I don't know if you guys can see that. I really wish I hadn't forgotten about the biscuits, and I even had it written on the bottom of my recipe to make the biscuits, and I still forgot. Oh well, that's okay. We do have other things we can add to this meal if we would like. We still have some of that pasta salad. We've got carrots. We've got actual salad. Oh, this looks like it's something that would just be amazing in the winter. On a cold winter day, this would just be so nice and warm in your tummy. So I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna try and get a piece of shrimp and a piece of the crab meat. And then of course it's blistering hot, so. Oh man, that is really, really good. And yes, I think it would be fantastic in the winter or in the fall when the nights start getting a little cool. All right, so I think my husband went to take a shower. So when he gets out of the shower, we'll go ahead and eat. And then I've just got tomorrow's meal, and then that'll wrap up our first week of the June freezer challenge. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good morning. So yesterday was day 7 of my June freezer pantry challenge. So that ended the first week. I did not film yesterday. I had forgotten to take out the dinner that I'd planned to have last night from the freezer before I went to work. So we just had breakfast for dinner. So I pulled out some leftover quiche, some pre-cooked bacon, and some waffles that I had in the freezer. We cooked that up and ate it. And so we ended our first week where we ate something out of the freezer every single day. In fact, sometimes we actually had more than one item, so that was good. So I feel like this first week has been a success. And so our next video in this series will be starting week 2 of the pantry freezer challenge. And so I just want to thank you guys for watching this video. If you have any ideas for using up freezer items, let me know in the comments, and then I can try to incorporate those in some of my future meals. All right, I will see you guys on the next video. Bye guys.